Welcome to A Double
and
Dice
with your host Kim
and Jocelyn.
Pour your favorite beverage,
Pull up a comfy chair,
because we are ready to roll.
Welcome to episode 134 of A Double and Dice. And today, well, not exactly today, but coming up is our 5-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
5 years. February
and it's
26th.
like coming up from when we record this and after you, like when you hear it, it's already been, been and gone. But yeah, 5 years of podcasting.
It doesn't seem like 5 years.
In which way?
I don't know. I don't know. That's how many episodes in a year?
26.
Yeah.
Because every other week.
Yes.
So it doesn't feel like 5 years that we've been doing this in a good way. Like, I don't feel like it's been 5 years, like, oh my gosh, 5 years we've been doing this. It also doesn't feel like it's been a short time, right? Like, we've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's not like a bad thing. It's not like, I guess it's a good thing that we've been doing it this long, and it doesn't feel like we've been doing it for a long time. But yeah, like, you know, and what a time to start a Dice Masters podcast, Kim, 5 years ago.
That was probably like the
worst time ever.
Was it the worst time ever, or in between?
Well, I mean, so we started it like 3 weeks before the pandemic. Right? Everything shut down.
Yes.
And then we had the issues with product being available just in general, not just because of the pandemic, but just in general. There wasn't a lot of product being released. So we were, but we were still playing. We were playing online. We were playing a lot of Dice Masters in person once everything's reopened, right? We had been playing it in person prior to the pandemic.
And that's the best thing about this game, I still think, is that we can do it online.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's such an easy setup.
Yeah, it's very easy to play online.
But yeah, that's right. It was during pandemic time.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yep, for sure.
So we've been through 100 and, well, this is 134, so 133 episodes.
Yeah.
A lot.
Female characters in Dice Masters.
Mm-hmm.
Almost an entire year of keyword focus.
Yeah, which, funny enough, I think we ended. That would have been our last one really off the list.
Yeah, it was the last one off the list.
To go.
Yeah.
So that ended actually well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the timing kind of worked out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think if we think back to all of the things that we've done on this podcast, probably the most exciting thing for me was when we got to have Jimmy on and announce that Secret Wars with the redesign, which was, I believe, our number one played podcast.
Yeah, if I remember what the name of that episode was. I don't remember. Oh, it's, we have a secret. It's right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we let you in on a little secret?
Yeah. And like, it was definitely our best,
our highlight.
Like our highlighted podcast. And it was so exciting to be able to share that, right, with everybody. I'm just trying to, they changed our platform here.
Yeah, it's a little bit up to date.
Yeah, so all time
is that one.
Yeah, which was in April or May of 2022. Because when we recorded that, I was in BC, right? My sister had just had her baby, she had just had her baby. She was in the hospital. And I recorded it from my sister's house. back in May of 2022 when they announced the Secret Wars redesign, which we then didn't get the product for another year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that was our best episode of all time. The highest recording, or the highest one that was listened to. It's crazy. So
lots of achievements. We've had over 12K of downloads.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So thank you.
And that's
thank
just
you
from
for
our
listening.
podcast. Just from our podcast place. That doesn't include the YouTube.
No, this does not include YouTube. So any of our numbers don't include YouTube viewers.
And then, I was going to say, like, locations, right? Like, most of our listens come from North America.
Yep.
But this is like so slow today. 75% of our downloads come from North America, but then we get like 20% of downloads come from Europe. And then the balance come from like Asia. It says Oceania, so like, Australia and the islands there, and then some South America, and one download in Africa once upon a time.
Wow. I want to know who that person is.
Maybe it was somebody who was like on vacation. Like maybe they went on vacation and they downloaded the episode when they were not home or something like that.
Maybe. I don't know, but 1 download from Africa. 7 from South America.
Yeah. 57% of our listens of all time came from the United States, followed by 17% in Canada. So you can definitely see like, the pockets of where the communities were, right? So like the number 1 city was Burbank, California. Then the next one was Toronto. And then you've got Los Angeles. Those were our top 3 cities of all time.
And I wonder who's in New Baltimore, Michigan. Which is our 4th one.
New Baltimore, Michigan. We know exactly who that is.
Yeah, I know. I'm testing
That's
you.
That's Comics Mike.
Yep. And
I've been to his store.
Bird guy.
I've been to his store.
Yes, you have.
Right. And then we got the Minneapolis people, Andy May and friends. So, and then there's Perth, Western Australia. That's who's our friend in Australia, Kim?
Why am I drawing a blank on her name?
She was a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, Robin?
Yeah, Robin. Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, it's interesting to see all the different cities and places that people have downloaded, and it's really nice that all these folks have considered taken the time to listen to us chat about Dice Masters over the last 5 years.
Yep. And still listening thank you for those who still listen to us.
Yeah, we still get people that listen.
Yeah.
Right? Just not as many. But
no, not once we first started. No. But we've all know what's been going on with Dice Masters world, and we really don't know where it's going.
Yeah, so I mean, I think maybe that's a good segue, Kim, to talk about what's next.
Yeah, I guess we have some news.
We do. I think it's good news.
It's good news, and the news is not bad news. We are still going to be podcasting.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Episodes will drop as usual, but we're going in a little different direction.
Yeah, we're going to spend the next little while on the podcast primarily focused on other games as opposed to just Dice Masters. And I mean, this probably isn't a surprise to anyone who's been listening to the podcast for a while, because we've touched on a few other games, and we've started talking about, the playmat section and what else are we playing, but we haven't really deep dive. We haven't done a deep dive into those games. We've sort of high leveled them. So we're going to spend a little bit more time speaking about other games, not necessarily like board games, but also tabletop games, collectible games, all of the things that we typically play. So for those of you that don't like HeroClix, I apologize in advance. Because that is one of the main games that I play. So it's one thing we're going to talk about. So we don't know exactly what this is going to look like yet. It might be similar to what we've been doing lately, which is a summary of the types of things that we've played, or maybe we'll deep dive into specific games and specific episodes. Maybe we'll have guest speakers on. Like, I don't know, we're sort of figuring it out. So if you have, as a listener of the show and you've got ideas or things that you'd like to hear about, like, let us know.
Yeah. So it'll be a bit of a trial and error as we go, but we'll still have our conversations.
Yeah,
we'll still have our train wrecks.
Absolutely. And I mean, this doesn't mean we'll never talk about Dice Masters again.
No, I mean, if something comes up or if someone says something and we think it's a good topic, we will go back and talk about it.
Or if WizKids relaunches it, like,
you never know. You never know.
Anything could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't shy away from if there is a Dice Masters. We're not completely going to stop talking about it, but if we hear something or if somebody wants to hear something or anything like that, we'll still talk about it.
Yeah.
Not just on a episode dedicated anymore.
That's right. Yeah, so we're gonna do things a little bit differently.
We're gonna mix it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, that's what we need to do. Like, things need to evolve. They can't always be the same.
Which might actually drive me to do some solo gaming.
Interesting.
Maybe I have, what is it, like a week usually we have in between? Maybe I play a solo game.
Yeah.
And then
maybe you'll remember more of the things that you do on Saturday nights with Matt.
That means I have to take notes.
I didn't say you have to take notes. I said you have to remember.
There's videos for that. But yeah, I mean, if I play like a solo game or something like that, I'll definitely have to. My memory's terrible, so I'll definitely probably have to write notes.
I'll just make a couple of notes. It's not going to hurt you any.
No. But yeah, maybe I might get some games off the shelf of shame.
I hate that phrase. Just on a sidebar, like you do you, and I'm not here to upset you or anything like that. But I just don't like that phrase because, I don't feel like it should be shameful that you've bought games that you haven't played. It should be exciting.
That's true.
Right?
You're just playing.
I know it's a social media thing. People say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I don't like it. So.
Shelf of shame. The shelf of unplayed games.
It sounds negative to me.
Well, yeah, I buy a lot of games.
And it's okay, Kim. Like, if you are good with that phrase, then I'm not going to stop you from saying it. I'm just saying personally, it's not one of my favorite things.
I haven't bought that much recently. Actually, I've been on the.
It's because you've got stuff to play.
But I have stuff to play, so maybe this might be a good opportunity for me to actually pick out a game and play it. Because sometimes I try to buy games that are one player or solo. Mm-hmm. Just in case it's ever just me playing. So I have a few.
Yeah, and Rob and I picked up a few games like when we went to Gen Con last year. Like, we got Railroad Inc., we got Dumb Ways to Die. You and I played Dumb Ways to Die last summer. And I think this will also, maybe trigger us. I know it's been a little bit difficult with like travel and life and living far away and weather, but getting those gaming nights in, because when we had you and Dave over to my place in the summer, like, that was great. We had a great time. We got to play some cool games, and that would be a great type of content and I know I owe you. It's on me. I owe you the dates so that we can coordinate another board game night, but we're gonna do that.
Yep. I was gonna say something and now I completely forgot.
Jocelyn doesn't give me dates often enough.
No, this is on board games. I don't remember. See, I told you my memory is like 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. Like, I just forget.
It wasn't important. Dory from
yep. Ooh,
from
shiny.
Finding Nemo.
Ooh, what's that?
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to write it down. Like, if I'm like, okay, I'm remembering this right now, I do it right now because I will forget to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yeah.
Yeah, the older I get, the more notes I have to take
Mm.
to remember stuff.
To remember stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember certain things, but there's struggles.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I remember now. You guys have to play. You and Rob have to play Radlands.
Yeah, you've been saying that. But we don't have it, but you have it. So
I do. So I could give it to you next time I see you so you can try it.
Well, we're going to see you soon.
Yes. In like a month, but not for board game night or day.
No, but in less than a month, in like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. It's going to come
in
quick.
3 weeks because what's coming up here in Toronto is Breakout Con. And Breakout Con is a board game convention that happens in Toronto for 3 nights. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. In March, it's usually the same weekend as Toronto Comic Con, and it's just held in a hotel. And Rob and I went last year. It was a lot of fun. So we're going to go in on Saturday this year. And I think, Kim, you're going to come in on the weekend as well.
Yes, I'm going to actually come to Toronto and spend some from Friday to Sunday. But I'll only be at the con for the one night.
Yeah.
For the one day, the Saturday.
Yeah. And we're only planning to be at the con for the one day as well. But that'll be the type of content that we can do, or we can talk about, Star Wars Unlimited releases, or if you go out to a Lurkana event, Kim, or, there's all kinds of things we can talk about.
Yep. I will have the family with me, so they're giving me Saturday, but I don't know about
There's
Friday,
still stuff for Noah to do at the con. There's kids games.
Yeah, but he won't sit and play. Yep. Dave's coming up with an agenda for him to do. But he's wanting to go to the aquarium, so I don't know.
There's lots of cool things to do in Toronto, so.
And it's going to be like the end of March break here, so.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can get like a dinner reservation or something.
Yep, so. Yeah. So I'm going to be trying out some games, so we'll have some things to talk about.
Yeah, we'll have lots of things to talk about. So many opportunities. Like last year when Rob and I went, we scheduled one game. We did one role-playing game. And then we just kind of wandered around, and like we went into the board game library. We just picked up a game, and some random person sat down because we had a sign that said looking for players, and we taught them how to play zombies. And then we also went into the playtest hall, and we playtested this guy's game. It was like in the final stages, and he was wanting to make sure that his instructions made sense. So he kind of sat there and watched us while we figured out how the game worked and played the game. And it was really cool. Like that's something I've always wanted to do. And we just like found this guy and we just sat down. He's like, "You want to try our game?" I'm like, "Sure, we'll try your game."
So he didn't actually teach it to you. You had to read the instructions.
Yeah. He was at the stage where he wanted to make sure his instructions made sense.
Okay.
So he handed us the instructions and I read them and I got a pretty good sense of how the game worked. And then we asked him a couple of questions just like for clarity. And he took notes on the things that we needed for clarity. And then we played a round of his game and it was a lot of fun. I follow him on Instagram now.
So I'm guessing if things are open, you can just, instead of booking it, you can just go and sit and play.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's lots of things you just walk up to.
Yeah.
So, and then there's other things that you book in advance because they might sell out. But like even when we did the role-playing games when we were there, I want to say one of them, it had said it was sold out, but then people didn't show up because it's free, right? So you buy your ticket for the event, like the overarching event, but most of the games are free. I think you're doing a painting thing, right?
No, I decided not to.
Oh, you're not doing the painting thing?
No. So I decided to just play board games for the first bit.
Nice.
And it's almost back to back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have a break, maybe to do some shopping or take a look around kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's fun. It's in a hotel. It's easy to access. The parking's nearby. Like it's going to be great. And we'll spend a lot of time probably talking about that after we've done that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'll have to really make notes on.
Yeah.
Or else I will forget.
Yeah, make a couple notes. But so that's what's happening. That's what we're doing. A double and dice will continue, but it will be a double and dice, a board gaming podcast.
Yes.
Or a tabletop gaming podcast or some kind of
what's a
podcast.
good name that actually, because card like TCGs, like Lorcana, Star Wars, they're not really under the board game.
Yeah, they're more tabletop, right?
Right. But also board games could fall under tabletop. So maybe we are tabletop.
So maybe it's tabletop, because I don't think we're going to talk a ton about like video games.
No.
We don't really video game.
No. Well,
I used to. Arena.
I used to, but I don't have time for that anymore. I'd rather go sleep.
Yeah. Fair. Do we want to talk about any games tonight, Kim?
What did we play on Saturday? Oh, okay. We'll talk about this one. Would you like to go first? Because I might be a bit. Actually, I won't be a bit. Would you like to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. We played a board game called Root. Ever heard of it?
I have heard of Root, yes.
Yes. Okay. So, Root is like these cute little creatures, but everybody's character, I would say, but they're like your fraction, is different to everybody else's. So they all play very differently. So I was the Marquis de Cat. And I think Jordo played as the Eerie Dynasties, which are birds.
Okay.
And Nick, which we asked to come on because we had no clue how to play Root. We've never played it before, Jordo and I. So we asked Nick, and he played something off the base game. So he played lizards. I don't know their fancy name. So Root is it's almost like I would say it's like kind of sort of worker placement, but not really. It's kind of like a war game. You're kind of doing things kind of on your own. So pretty much it's just like the person first to 30 victory points wins.
Okay.
But you're concentrating on what your fraction needs to do to make points. I mean, you would need to know probably like what other fractions do, so you kind of know how to either like deter them or whatever,
right,
from doing their things. So I didn't really read up most of on the fractions that we were playing. I just kind of figured out how to play my own. And we went and we played it. So it started off great. Okay, like we were going fine. The game was going good. Okay. I decided to play a card that pretty much wins me the game if I dominate in 3 areas.
Okay.
Okay, so I have most of my cats in this fox areas, 3 of them. So I decided to play that, which automatically wins me the game by the start of my next turn if I got this. So I decided to play that. I don't gain any more victory points, and what I have to do is pretty much just try and stay afloat in those 3 areas. More domination, I guess. Hence the card, dominance. So that was, after I played that card, that was my goal. I knew Jordo wouldn't try to come after me because, honestly, I don't know what happened with he pretty much kept almost like dying.
Okay.
So he started great, but then I think just things went downhill for him. So he couldn't have cards to play and keep his birds going. So they would like die out. He would lose points and he has to start over again. It's just the way his fraction played, right?
So this is a competitive game.
Sort of.
It's not cooperative.
It is not cooperative, or probably Nick wouldn't have not played. Right. So you're kind of going after each other, but you're kind of like doing your own thing. Trying to get yourself to your... I mean, you could, again, as I said, if you knew how the other fractions work, you probably would have been able to stop them from doing their stuff. Right. While you were doing theirs. So, supposedly after I heard that playing a dominance card is a very rare win. Okay. I tried my darndest, and I knew Jordo wasn't going to do it, and I had so many opportunities to win, but good old Nick had some plan that he was sabotaging me. Yes. So it got to the point of Jordero and I kind of, what's the word?
Teamed up.
Lost interest.
Okay, that's not what I thought you were going for.
What do you think I was going for?
I thought you were going to say you teamed up against Nick.
No, he couldn't. He couldn't stay afloat. Like his guys just dying. He had to come back, dying, come back. Because his birds, how I can explain it, but how his birds worked, where he has cards and he has like certain phases. He has 4 phases, like move, build, whatever, right? If you don't have cards in those slots, your turn just ends and you lose points and you have to get rid of your cards and start all over again. So at that point, when he had a whole bunch of cards and he was doing well, at some point he hit one of those, couldn't do anything, lost all his cards and couldn't recover.
Oh.
So then so every turn he was just dying, pretty much. I'm going to quote dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that doesn't
so
sound
he
fun.
he couldn't keep afloat. So it's kind of like his gameplay, like it kind of became like meh at that point, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there trying to keep my troops in certain places, but then Nick was kind of like taking them out. So it kind of also became what am I like doing, right? So the point where I'm like, Nick, just let me win. Right?
Okay.
This game went on for 3 hours.
That's a long game.
That is a long game, which also didn't make us. Anyway, so at the end, pretty much with Nick doing all this stuff, getting rid of my people, he ended up winning 3 hours later. Halfway through that, I'm like, just let me win. But didn't happen. So yeah, it's a high rating game. I don't know how people. Maybe it's not my type of game, but it wasn't like me and Jordan just went downhill. Like we were not happy playing the game anymore, I would say.
So I guess you've never played it before.
No, we both never played it. Nick's played it a lot of times. I think he said 5 or something like that. But there's like so much different factions you can play, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then you have to know like how yours works, probably how others work, so you know how to stop them from doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
But you're kind of only working your own thing. But yeah, I just pretty much sat there, wait. Okay, there's nothing to move my people. Okay, done. And then wait. And then, so the time between player turns was kind of down, like downtime.
Right.
So like as me and Jordan were waiting, it's like I don't like waiting too much between turns. Right? Mm-hmm. You just do stuff and you go and kind of stuff like that. So I think Jordan probably thought this was going to be like a great game, but I don't think it was my type of game. Maybe not his type of game either. Now we would give it another shot. Mm-hmm. Maybe I wouldn't play dominance. Maybe it might be a little different. But
so what does it compare to? Like, I don't play a ton of board games, but like the way you're describing it, to me, it sounds a little bit like Wingspan. Because in Wingspan, you're doing your own thing, and then you're collecting points, and then you score it at the end. Is that how that works?
Maybe Nick can answer that one. What would it compare to? So they have it as like a war game, a strategy game.
So like, what's that game with the... I can't answer that question. I can't answer my
What's that
question.
game with the...
What's that game with the war and the whatever?
The war games.
The war game.
The war games.
What is that game called?
Oh, she'll think about it. So I don't like, sure, I'll give it another try. Not for a long time though. Because it's still like, not for a long time. But I don't think it's my type of game.
Right.
I find it was too much work to prepare. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to learn your faction, and then maybe I could have learned about the other ones and what they did. Because we knew what we were playing beforehand.
Right.
But yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe it's just not my type of game. So maybe it's not really worker placement. It's more like area control.
I can't believe I can't think of the name of this board game.
And this is a common board game?
Yeah, it's like old school. Like, you know, you have like it's like a map of the world. Is it Axis and Allies? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Oh, maybe that's a war game, right? Like an actual
Yeah.
war game. Yeah,
Is that
it's
what
a
I'm thinking
huge
of?
game for my what I. It's an old game too.
Risk.
So, yeah.
Risk is what I was
Oh,
thinking of.
Risk. Okay, no, I've
Is it-
never played that.
Is it like Risk?
I don't know. I've
played
never
that.
played Risk.
Okay.
But I can't tell you anything that it compares to. Like, I don't.
The reason I'm
know.
asking is because I do find a lot of games are similar in that they have similar mechanics, and the skin might be a little bit different, right?
Mhm.
They have a different theme or what have you. Like, I think about, well, I mean, a very easy example of that is Wingspan and Wormspan, and now they have Finspan, right?
Yeah. I wanted to try that at Breakout Con, but it sold out. It's only on the Friday.
But like, I know Wormspan has a different layer that they've added into it, right? For the complexity. But Wingspan itself has multiple versions, right? Like there's the traditional version, and then you add the Nectar, and then you add the duet mode, right? So, but generally the concept of the game is similar. You're building a habitat. You collect points for the habitat that you've built, basically, right?
Yeah, but I find Wingspan better than this one. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I'm not saying you're comparing it to that. I'm just giving.
Yeah, I
you an
know.
example,
There's
right?
not much downtime.
And I feel like with Wormspan, I haven't played Wormspan. I've heard you talk about Wormspan, but it feels like it's very similar to Wingspan. It just has a different layer because you have to build like the cave before you can put the dragons in it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's very similar, right?
Yes.
And I don't know what that compares to. Like, to me, it's a competitive game because you're competing on points, but you're kind of doing your own thing, right?
And you just kind of get your own points, but trying to probably stop other people from doing their thing too to get points.
Which sometimes you do, but not always.
Not always. It depends.
Anyway, so I would say it sounds like you should probably try Root again.
But not for a long time. But I had to borrow a copy because I actually don't own it.
Oh. Did you get like from the library or something?
No, I bought it from a board gaming friend.
Gotcha.
Yes, his collection is probably like times 2 of mine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you should see his basement. So I borrowed it. So he'll get it back probably in March, but I don't think we'll be playing this for a very long time. Again,
would it be like a Euro style game?
It is not a Euro game.
Okay, I don't really know.
So how Board Game Geek describes it, it's considered a strategy war game.
See, to me that would sound
animals.
like it would probably be something I would like, but the way you're describing the gameplay, like 3 hours long and losing interest partway through, is not really fun.
No.
So.
No, because then once I played that card, I was just stuck on trying to keep my guys in the areas.
Right.
By moving them in there or doing what I need to do. And that was my turn. That's it. And then hope I survive for my next turn.
Right.
And then I'd do it again if I didn't. And do it again if I didn't. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I mean, if you ever get a copy, I would say try it. It's just not my type of game, I think.
Well, maybe when we're at Breakout Con, if they have a copy in the board game library, we could pull it out.
Yeah, and play it.
Yeah, but not for 3 hours.
No, it was, and we didn't think it was stream 3 hours. I just think it was just the time in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was very tired the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Nick can pipe up when he hears the episode and say anything else.
Yeah, Nick, let us know. Give us feedback.
But yeah, I mean, I would definitely try it again, just not for a long time. But I don't think I've ever really played like a game like this to really say if there's anything else. So, and maybe Nick can tell us what it compares to.
All right.
So yeah, that was Saturday's game.
Sounds kind of intense.
Yeah. As I said, it started fine, and I don't know. Maybe it would have been different if I didn't play that card. I don't know. I thought I had an easy win because I thought once you play the card, you win.
Right.
Because you're already dominated. It's like, nope, you have to wait till your start of your next turn. So it gives other people opportunities to take you out pretty much. But yeah. So I would say it like dragged on. Is that the word? It dragged on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until just Nick pretty much came up and won, because all I was doing was just trying to put my guys in the areas, and
right.
Jordo was nowhere near doing anything. So
yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's
I'm interested to learn a little bit more about that. So, because I've heard people talk about that for ages.
Yeah, and it's rated high. But I guess it's what I'm not used to playing a game like that.
Yeah, and I mean, not every style of game is suitable for every player, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you gave it a try. It was okay. I would try it again, sure, but not for a while. But
yeah,
if I have the same type of experience, or maybe they're a little different experience, but still didn't enjoy it, then it's not my type of game.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine. That's where you have to try a bunch of games and see if you like it. Then you know what type of games you like, right? So,
for sure. Yeah. So the only thing I've played lately is HeroClix. I have some Star Wars Unlimited coming up, so I'll have some opportunity to talk about that soon. But I think I mentioned on the last podcast that there was a problem with shipping for one of the sets, and it didn't come to Canada until way late. So the Black Panther set finally arrived like last month. We should have had it in November, and it didn't come in till like late January. So Rob and I are just finishing our sealed game series on that over at Dice Station Zebra. We've got one game left to record. So that's been pretty good. We've been playing a little bit with those figures, and because we didn't really have access to it in Canada until recently, it's stuff that I really don't know, so it's new and interesting. But the next set is going into pre-release this weekend. So this weekend, as we record, the next set is the Spider-Verse set, and that one's interesting because did I talk to you about the leak, Kim? Did I mention that?
I don't think so.
I don't know if I did or not. Basically, what happened was when the last set released in January, Collector's Trove, the distributor in the States as well as in Canada, not all the distributors, but some of the distributors accidentally shipped out the Spider-Verse set instead of Collector's Trove. And Spider-Verse set didn't even have a release date yet.
But who was it? Who were they shipping it out to?
So
stores?
I guess so. Yeah, they shipped it out to stores. People sold it. So here in Canada, there was a store that got some and sold some of it, and in the US, Alliance is the distributor down there, and they're part of Diamond, which is going through a bankruptcy right now. And Alliance is apparently going to be purchased. They've entered into an agreement to be purchased by Universal, which is the Canadian supplier of HeroClix, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Alliance shipped out a bunch of Spider-Verse across the country, and a bunch of it ended up on eBay, and then some stores had it and sold it to people. So people opened it and put it on the internet, and so the entire set was spoiled. So there's no Scott Porter unboxing for that set. And instead, they're going to do like an afternoon conversation with Scott Porter next week on, might be this week. Anyway, it's coming up on the HeroClix, the WizKids HeroClix channel on YouTube. So there's no traditional unboxing. The entire set is spoiled. Content creators are getting product to review. But obviously there's going to be nothing new in those bricks. Everything has been spoiled.
Wow.
So anyway, so they pushed what seems like they have pushed the release date up because there was no release date for this product. And then all of a sudden they decided to release it on March 5th.
Well, that's kind of weird. They had no release date, but they had the product.
Well, I mean, I think there's been some shipping issues, right? So Collector's Trove was supposed to release in 2024, but it didn't come out till 2025. We know Black Panther released later than it was supposed to, so there was some shipping issues in the US. So I'm assuming that Spider-Verse was probably supposed to come out in like April, May, They were probably just going to hold it in their warehouses for a couple of extra months so that people didn't have products too close together, especially here in Canada where Black Panther didn't come. So Black Panther and Collector's Trove came at the same time, and then a month later we're getting Spider-Verse. So like it's tough on the pocketbook, right? It's tough on the wallet right now. 3 sets in less than 6 weeks. But again, that's because there was a shipping problem because of the Canada Post issues and stuff like that. So yeah, so Spider-Verse is coming. Spider-Verse is releasing this week as of the recording of the podcast or the release of the podcast. And hopefully there'll be a bit of a gap now because that's a lot of sets with a lot of product for people to play. And the HeroClix community, like we're getting into a competitive scene time frame. So the weekend of March 6th, I think March 6th is actually a Thursday. So like a Thursday to the Sunday, 6th to 9th, I guess, or something like that, 6th to 10th, whatever the dates are. The Clix Championship Open is being held down in Orlando, Florida. So that's an independent event that WizKids sponsors with the support of a store down there. That's a competitive weekend event. And then Adepticon, which is like a wargaming miniatures event. The first time WizKids participated in that was last year. It's just been moved out of its current location outside of Chicago to somewhere in, I think it's Minnesota, like Milwaukee or something. Anyway, so that's coming up at the end of March, and WizKids is going to be participating there. And then pretty soon, I think we'll hear about the rest of what's happening for the year, like nationals and worlds and things like that. So there'll be a lot of HeroClix stuff coming down the pipe in the next few months.
Well, at least their products weren't moving.
It's still coming, but yeah, 3 sets in like 6 weeks is a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah, it's tough. So, but right now, like we've got our Collector's Trove all recorded. We got some cool stuff in those boosters. We've got Black Panther almost finished, and Spider-Verse is right around the corner. So, lots of content there that we'll be able to talk about, and I can talk about what's happening in the HeroClix world. But for now, not a lot to share. But after the release event, I can talk a little bit more about what's happening in Spider-Verse. So, yeah. And then Star Wars, because there's a new set coming up for Star Wars. Jump to Lightspeed, I think it's called.
Okay.
And that's in pre-release the weekend of March 8th. So, new Star Wars Unlimited coming down the pipeline.
That's every 3 months, right?
Pretty much. And then Star Wars Unlimited just announced their first rotation. So they have a plan that like next year, the first bunch of sets are going to rotate out. So that's interesting. I get the sense that a lot of people that play Star Wars have never played any other TCG or collectible game where there's been a rotation, so people are kind of like angry. But anyone who's come from like any kind of background like Magic or anything like that completely understands the reason why they rotate product, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. Has Lorcana announced anything on a rotation yet?
I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't seen or heard anything about a rotation. But I kind of like stopped paying attention to Lorcana.
Yeah, you're not playing any?
No. I haven't played since we were playing a long time ago.
I picked up another starter deck for like super cheap right before Christmas at Toys R Us because the starter decks I know have packs in them. Or a pack. And the starter deck was super cheap at Toys R Us when I was doing my Christmas shopping. So I grabbed it. It was like $6 or something.
Yeah, I pretty much have all the starter boxes, except for there's a new one coming out, or did it come out? I have no idea. But I don't have that.
Yeah, I haven't opened this one yet, so I have to open the pack still. I find cards to be a lot to manage. like how to sort them and how to build decks and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff we could talk about with Lorcana too, but we should probably save that for a future episode.
Yeah. We'll have our experts come on.
For sure. So I guess that's everything for today, Kim.
Yeah. Anniversary, news.
Still a podcast, but
still a podcast going.
Just in a slightly different direction.
Yes.
So we hope that you'll keep tuning in with us, and maybe now that it's not just a Dice Masters podcast, you'll have other folks that might want to, join in. You might be able to share the podcast with others. We hope that you'll do that. And we will be back here in a couple of weeks, and we'll be talking about some sort of board games or tabletop games, and open to hearing what your thoughts are and what we should talk about next. So you can reach out to us in all the usual places. You can find us on DM North TV at YouTube and Twitch, where Kim and Matt stream board games on Saturday nights. You can find us at our Discord, DM North TV. You can send us an email at triple-d-podcast@dm-north.com. You can head over to the website, dm-north.com, and leave a comment on our episode post. No one does that anymore. But you could. You could do that. And then you can also join our Discord, DM North TV. You can add us on Discord. Kim is at SuperK. I am at Joss Stitch, Joce Stitch. And, of course, all the social medias. So until next time, on a Double in Dice, a tabletop gaming podcast.